All right, let's move straight to our next conversation. Agriculture is often seen as hard labor, but for some people, it is the key to financial freedom and stability. In northern Nigeria, where dry season can mean hardship, some female farmers are finding new ways to thrive. In this edition of Journalist Hangout Weekend Special, Babajide Kolade Otitoju takes us to Kaigimi in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State, where women are breaking barriers in tomato farming. Now, despite challenges, they are seizing opportunities and turning the soil into a source of livelihood. Now, let's share the story with you.
In northern Nigeria, the dry season usually brings with it struggle and scarcity. But in a part of Kaduna State, a subtle yet powerful change is happening before our eyes. In Kagimi, a community in Igabi local government area of Kaduna State, women are determinedly transforming their lives, turning dusty fields into fertile grounds of opportunity, all made possible by the Tomato Juice Processing Company. Habiba is one of many women once disadvantaged but now earning a livelihood through tomato farming.
Na samu ni tunda ma na shigo kamfanin nan gaskiya ban taba faduwa ba, sai da ina cin riba a gaskiya tunda na shigo kamfanin ban taba faduwa in tashi ba komai a hannuna ba, ina samun riba a gurin har yau kuma ina yi. Na samu na sai freeze, na gyara gida, na sa yaran makaranta, kuma me yake da suna na sai guri, na sai fili haka. A nan Maraba ba?
Mabanjos.
A nan ne. Amma fili an gwantsala na siya makotan haka nan na siya.
Da kudin da kin samu a kan
da na samu a nan.
Mijin kifa?
Ya rasu.
Na shekara 6 ina noma a kamfanin Tomato Juice. Kuma muna noma muna samuwa. Malamanmu sun mana training na noman zamani. Noman da muke yi na gida ba shi muke yi a nan ba. Yanzu mun ga ci gaba fiye da wanda muke yi a gida. Yau za a ba mu rabin hekta ne kwata. Za ka noma, za ka cire kiret. Na cire kiret 900 na cire 800 da wani abu. Shekara na 6 na nake nomawa. Na samu riba a kamfanin Tomato Juice. Zan iya samun kamar miliyan 3 in hada maka gaba ɗaya kawai saboda lokaci. Yanzu ina da mashin kuma ina da injin nika irin namu na mata wanda ake nika tumatir da abubuwa, ina samun abin shiga. Akwai yara na guda 2 da mace namiji kuma na sa su makaranta, dama makarantar ya gagara, amma fitowar wannan kamfanin da muke samuwa na mai da su. Muna samun ci gaba yadda ya kamata, saboda haka muna godiya da wannan kamfani. Allah ya kara mata fadi, Allah ya kara mata girma. Malaman gonanmu da suke koyar da mu, Allah ya musu albarka, Allah ya kara musu girma, su ma su samu ci gaba ya fi haka.
Sitting on 2,600 hectares of land, this venture, the brainchild of a young American woman, isn't just growing tomatoes, it's growing opportunities. The authorities collaborate with smallholder farmers to boost tomato yields, minimize post-harvest losses, and maximize profits, working on thousands of hectares of land.
The farmer, the more he gets, so the farmer is incentivized to do better. Yes. So if a farmer gets 30 metric tons, for example, and then another farmer gets 60 metric tons, the yield, the amount of money comes to the farmer with the 60 metric tons is way higher. So, as in that increase from our standard, what he's paying us is everything belongs to the farmer. So you see some farmers, last season we had a farmer that made 2-point-something million naira in the farm, and then some that made 100,000 naira. Yes. So the difference,
function of your commitment.
Yes, you are the one that determines whether you win or not. But we want all the farmers to win. That's why we are here with them, working with them. We try our best to ensure that they succeed.
So in your tomato field, like how many farmers do you have?
So the tomato field, we have like 360 farmers.
360 farmers.
Yes.
Coming in here, for us as a government, This is where we appreciate the partnership with the private sector. Yes. Knowledge transfer. We're talking modern agriculture now. You can see how sophisticated it is. Our farmers who are smallholder, but you saw them, they now learn these techniques direct. Yeah. So the knowledge transfer is something that is very impactful. While they practice here in the farm, they also carry that knowledge to practice it in their own individual little farms in their various clusters.
Yes. Nigeria loses 40% of its post-harvest tomatoes annually, while local production at 1.8 million metric tons still falls short of demand, which stands at 2.4 million metric tons. Since it was founded in 2014, the company has helped farmers increase average yield by 340%, from 5 to 22 metric tons per hectare, and incomes by 455%. This establishment tackles wastage by focusing on efficient production. This includes dry season farming, using a high-tech drip irrigation system, an Israeli invention that uses gleaming pipes to deliver water and fertilizer directly to plant roots. They also use a more rustic harrow system, a localized method using channels carved into the earth. This combination ensures that even in the harshest of months, the tomatoes thrive, and so do the farmers. Irrigation technique invented by the state of Israel. The engineers here at Tomato Juice are able to wet their plants and fertilizer directly to plant roots. The impact goes beyond the women farming tomatoes. Inspired by their success, others in the village are similarly turning to farming. What started with tomatoes is planting seeds of ambition across the community.
Aka fara buɗe wannan kamfanin tumatir aka fara nomawa. A shekarar da aka yi wannan tumatir Allah bai bani iko na shiga ba. Amma da damuna ta yi za a ɗibi manoman masara aka kawo shawara a yi masara, na shiga na fara noman masara ne a wannan gona na kamfanin tumatir Jos. A shekaran ana ba mu kwata hekta ɗin ne dai a lokacin sai dan tashi da buhu 8 nawa da rabi. Wanda ban taɓa riƙe buhu ɗaya nawa a ce ni mace ga ni da masara buhu ɗaya ba ni da shi. Amma sanadiyar wani kamfanin sai dan tashi da buhu 8. Gaskiya na samu alkhairi sosai. Dan a shekarar nan ina da yaro na biya mishi kuɗin makaranta ya ƙara ke secondary ɗin shi. To akwai yayan shi kuma lokacin na ya riga gama secondary ne mu aure daga cikin wannan noman da na yi na tumatir. Na biya mishi kuɗin makaranta yaro na kuma ya auren jin siyo mishi kayan aure a lokacin har ragowar da na samu na rage abinci na sai abinci daga cikin wannan kuɗin nawa. Na kuma samu abin da na sai akuya. A lokacin na samu akuyar ma tumatir Jos saboda farin ciki.
Consumers probably don't know us very well yet, but Tomato Joss is actually 10 years old. We just celebrated our 10-year anniversary last month with the staff. The company started in 2014, and really the way that we sort of built the business was starting with the farming. Let's make sure that we can grow the highest quality tomatoes at the best prices with the best color and sugar at the highest yields. And once we learned how to do that as a company, the next step was let's teach farmers how to do this same thing. Because for me, this has always been about impact. It's always been about who can I empower and how can I empower them. So it took us another several years to figure out how do we translate best practices in farming globally to a farmer that might have very little formal education. And in the case of Tomato Joss, actually 60% of our farmers are women. So, women who haven't necessarily had a lot of exposure and haven't had a lot of opportunities, even for farming. After we had a successful farming program built from start to finish with a support system for the farmers, then the next step was to build the factory. And the factory was built over the course of 2020 and 2021. We commissioned it in 2021. Our partnership with the farmers is what I would call very symbiotic. So we have built a system and a model where our profitability depends on the profitability of the farmers. So what does that mean? We see in northern Nigeria, where most dry season farming takes place, that one of the key things for success in dry farming is irrigation. And irrigation is much, much, much more cost effective when it can be done in a centralized format. So what Tomato Jaws has done is that we have leased land from the Kaduna state government, and we sublease that land to farmers, and we provide that irrigation infrastructure, and we also provide a loan of the seedlings, all of the inputs, chemicals, anything that the farmer needs to be successful within that land. At the end of the season, the farmer now pays us back with the tomatoes that he or she has grown. And then anything above their loan value, they now walk away with cash. Typically, a farmer in our program will end the season with at least 400,000 naira to take home in their pocket. This is massive in a small village like Kangimi. We've actually changed significantly the total fabric of the population of this 10,000 person village as a result of the work that we're doing with the farmers. So it's very symbiotic. They are very happy to work with Tomato Jaws, and we actually have more demand for people to work with us than we have land available to lease. So we're working on expansion. And for us, the benefit is that we're then able to source a steady stream of tomatoes into our factory to enable us to run without any downtime. And that's really crucial because factories die when they can't run. So, we get the best quality, we get good prices that are fair to us and fair to our partner farmers.
But why did Mira choose to stay in Nigeria and loves the country so much?
Essentially, I moved to Nigeria in 2008 to work for a nonprofit, and I love to say that Nigeria chose me. I applied for a job and the opening was in Nigeria, and I said, great, I've never been there, but I'd love to see it. I fell in love with the country when I came. I fell in love with the people, the food, the culture, the energy. Of course, nobody can come to Nigeria and not feel that very vibrant energy of people want to do things, people have ideas, people want to make something of themselves. And it felt like, okay, that energy and that enthusiasm combined with, of course, the biggest market for tomatoes in Africa, Nigeria being Africa's giant, they're also a giant in tomato consumption. And that really was one of the reasons that then I decided to come back in 2014 and found the company. I did look at Ghana, but the market was much smaller, and honestly, my heart is here. So that's how we came to be in Nigeria.
Mira's vision is uplifting these women and the broader community, supported by agronomists like Eson, who oversee the farming process, and a workforce exceeding 300 women at any given time. The impact is profound, to say the least. Babajide Kolade Otitoju, TVC News, Kagimi, Kaduna State.
The impact is profound. It's indeed a milestone. Now, women are bringing things to the table. Mikhail, turning disadvantaged women into farmers, earning a livelihood. But talk to me from the beginning. What inspired you to do this report?
Okay, there's something very significant, very, very significant. In northern Nigeria, women do not really have that access to land to cultivate their fields and all that. The access is not really there. And in the far north, for example, it's not easy to see women actively involved in farming. It's the men who do the farming. But what you see here is more than 300 women at any given time. They are on that location, farming, and making money, enough money to fend for their families.
Yes.
If you can see, it depends on the size of your own farm or portion assigned to you, because it's such a big place. Now, some of the very hardworking ones amongst them get to make in excess of, millions of naira. It all depends on how much you produce. Because at the end of the day, what happens between them and the company is a novel form of profit sharing. You get to make some money, the company gets to make money as well, and the company gets to have access to raw material that it needs for its tomato puree company. So these women are driving themselves hard to make enough money for themselves, by producing plenty of tomatoes, the company gets to have access to those tomatoes. Yes, so they are big off-takers. But what the company does is, the company provides inputs, the company provides like seed money, you know,
like a loan kind of.
Like a loan. So they need to hire people who also help in tilling
the ground
and all that. Then at the end of the day, the company ensures that the yield per hectare in this farm is the highest in Nigeria.
Really?
Because the average yield per hectare for tomatoes in our country is about 5 metric tons. But the average yield per hectare in this company is in excess of 40 metric tons.
You don't say.
Yes, because of the way they use technology. They know exactly the volume of water that the tomato needs. They measure temperature at any given time. So they know, and they apply both organic and non-organic fertilizer. So the fertilizer is poured into a tank. And from that tank, the drip irrigation that you saw me holding is channeled to all of the entire feed. And it just drips, because tomato doesn't like so much water. It doesn't like too much water. Sorry. So it drips just gingerly to the root of the plant. So the practices that they have encouraged ensures tremendous yield. You don't find that in an average tomato farm in our country. So they use technology a lot, and they have access to irrigation facility. There is a dam on site. So they are able to do dry season farming on a big scale.
All year round.
All year round they can farm. You need to, even some of their mango trees too, dwarf mango trees, they are doing very well. But my focus has been tomato, especially because I see what those women, these ordinarily are women who will have been starving, who will have been looking for where their next meal will come from. But you see them working very hard. You see them working very hard and making enough money to put a roof on their heads, to send their children to good schools. There was even one of them I was playing with. I said, that means you can give me money. Or the kind of money you are making, I don't make it where I work. You know, and we laughed over it. This is what we want to see. People need to be empowered. They need to be empowered. Nigerians are enterprising. They want to work. They are hardworking people. But the opportunity has to be provided. If we provide it, they will grab it with both hands and they will deliver.
Along with it.
Absolutely. All right, gentlemen, we need to go on this quick break. And when we return, the conversation continues. Don't go anywhere. Still Journalist Hangout.
Coleman wires and cable, great quality, now with the new look.
What is this?
I don't know for them.
If you just joined us, it's still Journalist Hangout. I still have BKO right here and Chelsea Dell. Chelsea Dell, beautiful report by BKO. And even what I tried was the white woman.
Yes.
Okay, coming into Nigeria, speaking glowingly about our country and also making impact with this project. Your thoughts on this?
We said she came in, was working for a non-profit as NGO, but she wasn't feeling fulfilled at all. And then she tried to say, okay, how do I make impact? Not for self-fulfillment at all, but, you know, apart from that, but making impact that will help the society. And she didn't come down south, but she went up north where you have this patriarchal society where women are hardly given, you know, where they hardly breathe in the manner of speaking. And she went there, and then she didn't go sharing money to people, but she said, okay, why don't we do this together? And then she went in, provided the necessary opportunity, and then she had to focus on the women. Women who, like Babaji said earlier, who were supposed to be waiting for their husband to bring something to the table, they are now the ones that are now bringing something to the table. And for instance, a northern woman training a child in the secondary school. So you imagine, and then it says one of them had even just got married. So it tells you that what they are doing there needs to be emulated. If possible, we can copy and paste. Not only in the north, we can also come down south here. I mean, there are places even in south and all that you can also replicate some of these things. There's abundance of water there. There's abundance of sunshine. Whatever they need to do
in the south side, most women go to the farm.
All they need to do is this kind of encouragement and support. When they get it, and they will make more difference than what they are making now. What they are doing now is just self-help. But I'm sure when somebody just trigger the whole thing, and you see them making more difference than
we talked about copy and paste. How do we bring this to other states? Why can't other governors pick this and run with it?
This is the point that we are making. Nigeria, we have plenty of arable land, alluvial soil.
Everywhere.
God has so blessed this country. We should actually be the best in agriculture in the world. But what do we see? We have only a fraction of our arable land has been cultivated. Governors are in charge of the land in their states. How many of them are actually taking agriculture seriously? Let's look at what they've cultivated. They've not done enough. They've not done enough. And if you want to empower people, agriculture will be something that you should focus on.
Exactly.
If the young people, for example, let's begin to get them to realize that agriculture pays so that they can keep themselves busy. Instead of ranting on social media, for example, they can keep themselves busy working on farms. Bring technology into it. It will encourage them. We need to take agriculture much more seriously than we are doing. Can you imagine a country like Nigeria today? We cannot even provide enough palm oil that our people need. We are now a net importer of palm oil. It's something that we feel ashamed of.
Something that we then in the day.
Malaysia came here to pick seedlings.
And today we are.
Today they are among the best in the world. Malaysia and Indonesia. Here we are importing. We are importing what God gave us in tremendous quantity. Nobody cares anymore. We just want to share the petrol money. And when we share it, we go to the Bureau de Change people and we start changing to dollars. Then you start seeing the Naira struggling again. This is what we are doing. Governors need to focus more on agriculture. People don't understand why I'm talking a lot about agriculture now. They do not know that I have seen with my eyes, especially in Kaduna State, what agriculture is doing. Turning things around in communities, making billionaires out of people that if you see them on the street, you won't even give them any regard. One person, 1.4 billion naira, 1.450 billion he made on 3 crops alone. You saw this story?
Yes. The millet, rice, beans,
white beans, and rice.
I saw that report.
And you heard a woman making. And he kept saying we are many. He kept saying we are many, reminding me that he was not the only one.
He may even be just one of the media.
So this is the thing. Now we cannot feed ourselves. How is India able to produce enough rice to feed
how about Israel?
with their population?
Look at the Israeli land. They are farming.
They're one of the best in the world.
Exactly. I mean,
All right,
Israel, Denmark, all of them.
All right, gentlemen, let's move straight to our next conversation. Tradition and power often walk a delicate line. And in Kano State, that line has been under